Hey guys, how are you doing? My name's Matt Carter, and Joey asked me to make this blog video in response to Brad. So Brad, thank you for making your video and participating here on Unlearning. I'm a Christian, and I became a Christian while trying to become an atheist. I was trying to learn as much as I could about the world and understand the way that it works so that I could be religion-free and actually believe the real thing. But in the midst of that, God sought me, and He saved me and changed my point of view. So I never made it to atheist. So I do understand a lot of what Brad's saying, and I respect his points and appreciate them very much. So let's start with where I think we agree, Brad, and that's that we both, and probably everybody in America, agrees that what James Holmes did was terrible, it was wrong, and it was evil. And I think that's okay. I think atheists can say something is evil. I do agree with your point on that. So the way we get to these points are that we have to interpret the facts that we see, and we interpret those facts through what our worldview is and our, how we grew up and our culture and these things. So Paul Tripp is a Christian author, and he says that we're meaning makers. We're inherently that way, and that we don't live by the facts, we live by our interpretations of the facts. And so we interpret facts, especially with pain and suffering, to say things like, well, God must not exist because this happened, or we say, well, Satan did that, or we say, well, people are just bad, you can't trust them, or we say, well, we don't go to the movies anymore, or the world's just going downhill. So that's how we deal with these big events. And one of the point of views that Brad has is that what we need to look out for, and what our point of view is the species as a whole and our culture and our society. We all agree on standards of behavior, and then non-standard behavior we correct, or we punish, or we deal with in whatever way for the good of our species. And so another way would be a very religious way, where you say the Bible's a rule book and it says right and wrong, so we do right and we don't do wrong. So those are kind of interpretations and backgrounds that we come from. So as far as to the one about our society and species, good. I mean, that also happens in the animal kingdom, and they do things like kill the weak of their young, or the runt, or I've seen chickens attack and kill a chicken with a broken leg before. And if we apply that if we even allow that thinking at all in human society, it'll go sideways really quick, and we'll have, that kind of can lead to things like genocide and things that we all know are bad and wrong and evil. So especially when the evil thing becomes the standard, then the non-standard thing would be to stand up to the evil, and you can see where the problem is there. So, and as far as looking at the other point of view, where you'd say, well, things are either good or bad and we just consult the rule book, that's not what the Bible is. The Bible isn't a rule book, and a lot of Christians get that wrong, and a lot of conservative people think the Bible's a rule book. It's not. The Bible is a book about a man named Jesus, who knows about suffering, is well acquainted with suffering, and faced evil directly. So good and evil come up in the Bible, but that's not what it's about. It is about Jesus. And Jesus himself faced more suffering and suffered more than faced more evil than anybody ever in the history. And what we find at the end of the day that's really unbelievable is that Jesus is actually different than you and me and everybody else. Actually is the only one that doesn't want James Holmes to be punished and suffer. Jesus wants reconciliation and restoration for him, so much so that he was willing to pay the price for him. Jesus acknowledges that there is a price to be paid, and is willing to suffer for James Holmes and for everybody else and all the bad things that have ever been done. So that's really unique, and we really need to pay that some attention. And the Christian viewpoint's often mistaken, but that's what it's really about. And once you start to look at it that way, you start to really see that the God of the Bible actually is loving to people like James Holmes and you and I, and he also has a sense of justice. He doesn't just freely forgive anybody for whatever they do. There is penalty, there is real consequence in this world, and there is real evil in this world. And so we see not only Jesus is loving, and he has a sense of justice, and at the same time he works and moves in pain and suffering and the things that we all experience and know about this world. So that's really what I think the right viewpoint is on the way to look at this, and what the ultimate truth really is. So thank you, Brad. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Unlearning, very much. Let's keep talking about it.